Yeah. His little teeth. Oh.
I
His
went
hands
live.
up.
I went live, Molly.
Oh.
We're live now.
Okay.
Molly's just ranting about
his
Baby
little
Yoda.
macaroon. His little seatbelt.
We are here. This is the show, episode number 4. We're talking about The Mandalorian, chapter 12. And this one's titled The Siege. Like always, we have some more guests joining us, more friends. And today we are joined by Nick from AdAd Chat and Matt and Sean from all the way over in Australia. They're from the future.
In Australian.
Show everybody.
Good day.
Good day.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see all of you.
How's the
Nice to
future,
see you guys.
first of all?
Tiring.
Mm.
Exhausting.
Weather's nice.
Yeah, you guys are. You said you were in summer now, and I'm like, it's like 36 degrees outside.
Yep.
It's 36 degrees here, but in the proper temperature measurement. So.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you lost us.
we're gonna get into this episode. We're gonna talk about it for about half an hour and try to hit all of our high points and theories and everything. And at about 30 minutes in, we will start taking some questions from the chat. If you want, you can go ahead and get your question in the queue through Super Chat, and we will start with those. But let's just dive into it. What did everyone think of this episode? Nick, let's start with you.
Wow. Yeah, I would say probably my second favorite so far out of this whole season. And I gotta say, like, beyond the cute stuff, I think because of the way it ended, it just makes me want to keep rewatching it, because now I can't stop thinking about, like, what does this all mean? Which I know we'll get into, but it just left me on such a high. So right now, maybe because of the newness factor, I'm just super amped up on this episode. So yeah.
Sean, how are you feeling?
Oh yeah, no, I loved it. I thought it was a great. It had a real kind of 80s vibe to it, which I really like. I was saying to Matt, like the scene where they kind of flew off the thing, and it was like the cockpit where they were all screaming. I was like, yeah, it's very Goonies, very Indiana Jones. Like it was very, I had to watch that in the cinema when I was a kid, and I really liked it. I thought it just had pace, and it sort of felt like it was going to be something that was just going to be a little self-contained thing, and then it's actually just blown up into this huge thing. So yeah, very exciting.
I totally agree. I think a lot of people were expecting this to be like a self-contained adventure of the week. And I think it mostly was, but they still did a good job of balancing the self-contained part with, hey, let's answer some questions, tease some new stuff. Matt, how are you feeling?
Yeah, good. Really good. I was a little, I was kind of lukewarm on it last night, and then rewatching it today, like, that really sort of settled down. It's one of the few episodes that have been that way. Like, some of them I've rewatched and gone, and even felt kind of the same, and the ones that I really liked just stayed the same as well. But this one, I would say doubled in enjoyment. Really loved it. Really loved it.
How many times have you watched it so far? I'm on like number 3.
Only twice. Just finished it with the audio description, like the descriptive audio. That's really cool. Like, it lets you sit there just taking notes, and just, it's like listening to an audio book.
That's something I had never considered. I saw Eckert Slatter.
I've never done that. Yeah.
Eckert Slatter tweeted, hey, maybe use that on that last scene. And I did that. It was like, oh my God, they actually reveal like extra details.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was like, we're going to get to that. I was like, I don't know. Because I saw that too.
Yeah.
Molly, we have to go back and watch them all? Like,
what did you think, Molly?
I loved this episode. Every Friday morning, you will usually sleep in while Alex gets up early to watch the episode. So I've been asking him every Friday morning, is it a banger? Last week's was like, yes, definitely go watch it right now. Today he was like, yeah. I think there's some really good stuff in there, but when I watched it, I agree. The pacing was really good. There was a lot of good comedy, and we got to see Gideon, which was cool. I was like just waiting to see what Gideon was up to, where he was. And we got to go back to,
I was gonna say his Q is so iconic to me now.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
That like wicked smile on his face.
Yeah. It's like the doom. It's like the new Imperial March to me. It's like da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. Every time. I love it.
It's gorgeous. So good.
It's good. We usually kind of like forget to talk about the music until the end. I'm glad someone brought it up like right away because it just has become an assumption that like obviously the music's great, Ludwig is great, and we all know it.
Yeah, I heard a couple people say things about the music. One person said that you could hear the Resistance March briefly when Kara and the
that's right.
New Republic guy are talking.
Super subtle. It's super subtle. And it felt like there was maybe a bit of Leia's theme in there too. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Maybe they're pushing him to just explore more of that tapestry and see if, since they're going towards the Jedi and kind of stuff like that, now they're going to start maybe tapping into the Williams. Who knows?
Maybe.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah,
I the Will.i.ams.
The Williams.
The Black Eyed Peas are going to start taking over. I do think that as this episode has sat with me over the course of the day, and I've watched it twice as well. My first watch, I was like, yeah, it really leaves you with a big cliffhanger, and I definitely liked all of the stuff that they were teasing. At first, I thought that it was a little over the top, kind of cheesy. I still think some of the acting is, but I just started thinking of it as kind of a theme park ride, and that was based off of something that Molly said in season 1 in chapter 7. Molly, I want you to share that because I think it's hilarious.
Oh, it was from the part where we see Grief Karga pop up as a hologram in the Razor Crest, and he's very boisterous. And he's like, if you're seeing this message, then you might know that I'm alive.
Yes.
And I said
He's
that
like this, isn't he?
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, he does the chest out. It's so funny.
And I said it sounded like something you would see or hear right before going on a ride in a theme park. It was very. It just reminded me
Hello,
of something
adventurers. Are
Yeah.
you brave enough to see?
right.
It's such a funny observation. I never thought of that.
But then, like, I had that in my head. Now, every time I see Grief Karga, that's in my head. And so then watching this, I was like, okay, he's directing this episode. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it as a theme park ride where, Sean, you were talking about the Goonies and that shot where they go off. I was like, that's Star Tours. Like, you're riding around in that cockpit thing. And then even later on, when they're doing the dogfight, Yoda puts his hands up like he's riding a roller coaster.
That whole sequence was amazing.
Yeah.
I love how it ends too. He just pukes and he's like Mando's like, hold on. Like, kind of like, I got to clean up my son. Relax.
He uses his own cape.
Yeah, with his cape.
Molly, you even pointed out that Carl Weathers tweeted, like, enjoy the ride, or he called his episode a ride. And I was like, I don't know. It kind of made me like it even more. It took some of that cheese factor that I initially thought, and I was like, no, they're just having a lot of fun making a Star Wars, and I like it. I dig it.
Yeah, you could really tell that Carl Weathers had a ton of fun directing this episode, and he did great directing the child and himself. Just the way he. Oh no!
I had to put that one image in here because that to me looks like a man that
they're all like his grandparents. It's like Grandpa, Nina, like you know what I mean.
I feel like
so funny.
I feel like he forgot to say cut. He's just like so happy to see that child and hold it, and he just walks off.
People are finally starting to speak directly to the child in this show the way that someone would in real life. Like, oh my God, look at him! And
like Werner.
Yeah,
it's like they carried that on, and it's like, do what he did. He's just been talking to this child like off camera for hours, and it's gold. Like, use it, just use it.
So I want to go through some of the episode a little bit, and we'll keep just talking about the child, and we'll start off with the baby fixing the ship, or at least trying to. I loved that opening scene.
Yeah, that baby was trying his best to play Among Us, and Mando was getting a little sus.
It reminded me of I have 2 kids, so as a dad, it just made me think of like when I'm trying to teach them to do something, or like just hold the spoon. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Nope. Oh, it's all over you now. And like it's kind of like that whole thing. So when he was just like, oh no, like I just bursted out laughing. So I was like, this is my life. Like this is hilarious.
Have you ever shoved one of your children in a wall to try to?
No, not yet. Well, we'll see. But I also love that scene because, if you've seen some of my stuff, I love The Last Jedi. I love that scene where BB-8 just drops into the X-Wing and we just get to see the innards of things. Like I love that kind of stuff, like Brazil weirdness. So seeing that again, even though it's Baby Yoda like almost electrocuted, I was like, this is cool. Just seeing the innards of the ship.
Yeah. It's nice, I guess. It's nice getting something that's a little bit more kind of hands-on and a little bit rough, but also like just seeing that the baby has some decent comprehension skills. Like he can understand colors at the very least, and that was kind of new info to me. I was like, oh, cool! Like
we now know that their species is not colorblind. You're right.
Yeah, and he's learned something in 50 years. Like sure he can't speak, but he can at least understand something. Good. That's 50 years used well.
Yeah,
it didn't so tender. He's like that one. Yeah, that one. Nope, that one. No, that one. That's so funny.
You could see kind of the wheels turning in his head as he's holding both, because he's like looking at one, he's like, got it. Looking at the other one, got it.
Yeah.
So good.
It's so good.
I want to touch on Navarro, going back there, seeing it kind of in a new light. Not so much scum and villainy anymore. It's an actual town. I really loved seeing the school. The thing I loved most was seeing the statue of IG-11 in the town square. What did everyone think of that sequence?
Oh, I didn't see the statue until I watched the Screen Crush Easter eggs video afterwards, and I was like, oh yeah. I think I was too. Yeah, I was very much surface, just not really paying attention, just watching people moving. But yeah, I thought it was great.
Second viewing. I thought it was nice. I miss IG-11. So
I
was like, we get him for that one brief second. Nice. But I think it's a good way to commemorate him. So
when I was driving this morning, we need a Quill statue. Yes.
Maybe he was there as well.
Like I was driving this morning and taking my partner to the osteopath, and on that route they've got one of those wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube mans.
Mm-hmm.
I've memorized that, by the way. Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. So yeah, I saw that, and as I drove past, my brain went IG-11, and that's I think the next thing I want to see. I want to see IG-11 become just like this like almost local pop culture thing, not just like the statue in tribute, but I want to see him like in shop windows, be like going, we've got the best bargains and all sorts of like really crazy stuff like that. I would just love to see that sort of thing in the background.
Well, you can get him as a cosmetic item in Star Wars Squadrons, so I imagine that there is something of him being sold somewhere.
Yeah, I like to think that Grief and Kara kind of like agreed to have that commissioned and put up in the town square in memory of him.
He saved all their butts. So
yeah,
one of the most epic scenes in the series, arguably. I think maybe though this episode of the scout troopers dropping in that might have taken over that scene for me in terms of just sheer epicness.
You mean the bikes?
Great. Yeah, the bikes.
Like Yeah, Sean and I were talking about that. Like, that dirt bike feeling that you get, like, could be, Sean, what did you say? It was like Mad Max. I was thinking almost a Bond.
Yeah, kind of a classic Bond where he ends up having to inevitably every couple of movies ski, and someone's coming after him in other skis or on like snowmobiles or whatever. But yeah, very, very Fury Road, like that scene in Fury Road where they're being chased by the bikes and all that. But I like the fact that like when the scout troopers came down, a couple of them just completely just wiped out.
Yeah.
At first I was like, oh, they all died. And then I watched it again. And I was like, oh no, wait, no, he's just rolling. He's okay. It's like, Jesus, like this is violent. Because every now and then, like my son might run down. Like this morning, he was not watching it, but like he ran in. I was like, that scene was happening. And I was like, oh my God, did he just see somebody die? And then I rewatched it. And I was like, nope, we're good. Oops, not turning this on in the morning anymore. So
I think there's like two quite safe deaths in that, and they're. I think I was watching it this morning, going, "Oh, they're actually like really for a Disney thing. Like they're pretty full on. Like when Kara smashes one into the side, and like you see the shot of like he's in, and then the gun turret at the top of the Marauder. I was like, both of those times I was like, ouch.
They've done a lot of like off-screen violence stuff where you're like, enough that you know what happened and it's bad.
Yeah, the sound design is enough where you're like, oh yeah, that hurts.
Yeah.
There were I felt like there were so many cool just callbacks to the original trilogy with the stormtrooper dialogue. The speeder bike guys felt very Endor to me. There was a couple of like close-up shots of their foot hitting that pedal.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a shot from Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And all the shots of like the targeting computers and everything, it felt very original trilogy to me.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I was saying earlier when I was like just talking about it on like a Twitter DM, I was like, very A New Hope to me. It just reminded me of like at least the little part with like them just like with the TIE fighters and all that. And they have like the classic banter where they're like, "What are you doing back there? Do something." And he's like, "All right, yeah, I got it." You know what I mean? And I'm like, this is awesome.
Well, the infiltration is very A New Hope as well. And you even have the callback to the tractor beam thing.
Yep.
Which I loved that line of like, "There's no guardrail here.
There's no railing here."
Yeah, it's so good.
It's so hard.
Finally, someone points that out in universe.
So
it's very
funny.
unsafe.
Painfully funny.
The Metro, like, I liked him a lot more this episode.
I did too.
Than I did the first one. I can't explain why. I just did. I don't.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of everyone, isn't he? Like, I mean,
like the audience surrogate.
Yeah, he says all the stuff that if you were in that environment, in that situation, and you weren't just like packing yourself from being so scared of everything going on around you, and this was just regular, you'd say all those things. You'd be thinking all those things, whether you'd have the personality to say it out loud like him, but you'd be thinking, where's this guardrail? Yeah. It's like, my speeder, I don't want to do this. I just want to sit in my car. I do that all the time. I'm just like,
I lost it when he like, psst. That was so funny to me. I was like, what just happened? What does this mean? Was that the Musk? Like, is that what?
Yeah.
I don't know. I assume anything about the mithril biology. So I was like, what? It was so funny.
All right, I want to get into the first of two of our speculation time questions. First, let's go. We were talking about the infiltration. So we found out that they were trying to extract blood with a high M count, obviously midichlorians, to transfuse into some subjects. We don't know why yet. Seen a lot of theories thrown around already about Snoke, Palpatine making force-sensitive armies or something. Mm-hmm. My theory is that Moff Gideon himself wants to try to become force-sensitive, but what's everyone thinking?
Who wants to start?
I'll go. So I thought Snoke. I thought maybe not Snoke himself, but precursors to Snoke. Whatever Snoke is, like, I'm not sure. Alex Molly, I'm sure that you can answer this. Has Snoke been named as a real person in canon, or was he always just a creation?
I believe he was always a creation. I'm taking that from Palpatine saying, "I made Snoke." I do think he literally made Snoke.
Yeah. So if these are like, experiments or examples or whatever, like they've got to start from somewhere. Maybe I'm thinking kind of like, Prometheus and like the travelers and all that sort of stuff. Like they've got to start somewhere. So maybe actually no, forget that line of thought. The thing that's really striking though is Dr. Pershing. What does he say? He says the volunteer. He doesn't say volunteers plural. So like throw that back to someone else. What do you think that means?
Well, then it might just be a case of like on a case-by-case basis, the volunteer, so like whoever the volunteer is at that particular experiment, rather than there being a singular volunteer. It's like the subject of this experiment, but then each subject is a different thing, if that makes any sense.
I could also see the Empire calling them volunteers when they're really not actually volunteers.
Volunteers.
Yeah.
just poaching people from Navarro when they need somebody. I don't think it like really necessarily is going to link to all that stuff. I feel like what's happening is like I do feel like Moff Gideon wants to somehow be force sensitive, because I think we're going to find out that he has some sort of Kylo Ren-ish obsession with the dark side, and maybe with Darth Vader himself, since he kind of appears to dress like him, kind of, sort of, I guess. With the cape and all that, he's like, but beyond that, I kind of feel like he's trying to just breed a super soldier sort of elite being that he can just quickly replicate, and it seems like it just keeps going horribly wrong. And we saw those tubes, and deformed people. Everybody's going to be like, oh, it looks like Snoke, or it looks like this. So it's real easy to jump to that, I think. So that's why I don't think it's any of that stuff.
Yeah, I didn't think about Snoke at all in this episode. I was just like, I don't think Mandalorian is gonna connect with Snoke. That just maybe that's just something I don't want to happen.
I mean, that's basically how I feel. I don't want it to be a Snoke Palpatine thing. It's just the same thing I always say, that I really like, that the Mandalorian is very largely just set on its own. I don't want it to be too wrapped up in the Skywalker saga, but I don't think the people who are crying Snoke are like, there's evidence there that they play the same music.
The Gregorian choir,
right?
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, people were using that when we first met Snoke to be like, oh, well, clearly he's Darth Plagueis, and so that could just be dark side music. It doesn't have to be Snoke, but I don't want it to be too wrapped up in Episode 9.
The other thing too is if it is tied to that, then the mystery of this just dies, I think, which is what I like the most about what's happening now. Like, I felt like I always knew what was going to happen next, kind of with some of the movie stuff, and with this, I have no idea where we're going, and it feels awesome. So if it ties into that, I'll probably be really let down. I'll be like, come on. So
I'd be kind of happy if it was subtle, just subtle. Like I like this. I like this idea of it being a bridging period between, original trilogy and sequel trilogy. So I kind of feel like, maybe it's kind of natural that there's going to be some stuff, but I like the idea more of us being able to like do this, just sit around and just keep it so speculative, and that it could be just up to 8. It's never a full 10, that says it is a Snoke. Just something.
Like they let you put the pieces together if you wanted to, but it doesn't. Like Snoke doesn't walk out of a tube at some point.
It could inform the sign, or I don't know what you call them, the people on Exegol, the antithesis of the Octu nuns, whatever those scientists were.
Maybe enthusiasts.
Yeah, maybe like something that Moff Gideon really does informs some process to them, and like maybe that's a loose enough tie-in link where it's not exactly this exact like thread through line of Snoke or something. So it could just inform the science of like, oh, we know how to make Palpatine now. We're good.
Yeah. Counterpoint, I want it to be Snoke.
Okay.
And to be very sort of. But I think, I don't know, this might come back to get me, but I think the Snoke thing and then the troopers at the end, I think they might be I was just saying this to Matt before, two separate things. I don't think they're trying to, if they created Force sensitive stormtroopers, that would be too far for me. That would be a smidge too far into a weird direction that I just wouldn't like. I like the idea of them making super soldiers, and I like the idea of they're also working on trying to like bring back Palpatine or bring back Sith in order to kind of get the Empire back on its feet. But I don't want those two things to be the same thing, because that would just be a bit, I don't know, I don't think I could deal with that. I think that would just be a bit odd, because it's too big for something that, like Matt says, in the bridging period. You can't have like Force sensitive super dark troopers and then the Force Awakens happens or Resistance happens. You're like, no, it's too big. But who knows?
Well,
I don't know.
It could be like projects from each of them, like, so there's that officer, the Imperial officer, that says something about the New Order coming. So like if the New Order and all that is connected to the First Order, and therefore that's Palpatine's plan. So maybe that's the Force-sensitive route, and then the troopers maybe are just Gideon's personal pet project. Like that's him. That's all him. So if that could be something. If Gideon dies at the end of the show and then the troopers are all gone, then that can put it to bed before the Force Awakens. Doesn't necessarily have to bleed into anything else. Maybe.
I think my hope is that Gideon is kind of his own guy. He's stayed behind. He didn't go into the unknown regions. I kind of like the idea that he is on Mandalore. Like maybe he took it over because that was never part of the Republic. So I don't think the New Republic would be all that like keen to go get it back. Like we need to protect them. So he could have his own little fiefdom out there. And I like this idea that he just has this hubris that he's like, no, I can wield the dark saber. I can do this. I can do that. And I should be able to be force sensitive too. Let's figure this out. I just think that's the more simple answer. And I kind of like that instead of like, I'm trying to bring the Emperor back.
Yeah, I mean that is. I mean, sometimes the most simplest answer is the right one, right? And that seems like the simplest one. And the transfusion thing, right? Like that's what's making me thinking or leading me to think that he does want to be force sensitive because of the whole like maybe he just like is obsessed with the Sith and lightsabers or whatever.
It might just be that he just is obsessed with power and like,
that. Yeah.
It could be a situation kind of like he himself wants to be the next Emperor, the next Palpatine, basically. And he doesn't have a Death Star, but he's got the darksaber and he's got his special.
He's a psychopath.
Yeah. And he's got his army of new troopers, which are
great segue, Molly.
Kind of like Inquisitors. Maybe he knew about them and was like, I'm going to do something similar.
I was going to say, like Molly says, he doesn't have a Death Star, but he does he has an Arquitens class cruiser. Like he's a very downscaled leader at this point. And yeah, I want to, before we get into chat questions, I really want to talk about the Dark Troopers. Like, I never thought that would happen on the screen and live action.
Refresh everyone's memories.
I don't know
what the Dark Troopers are.
I actually had to research this because I only knew about it vaguely because of a game.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait, what is this again? So I had to do a little bit of Wikipedia today.
I mean, they're basically just Imperial battle droids. So it makes sense. Gideon probably doesn't have that many people, especially if he's not in a Star Destroyer. He's in a light cruiser. So to fill out his army, he's probably making these droids. And in Legends in the game, they were made out of this metal that was lightsaber resistant. I kind of think it would be cool if they were made out of Beskar now. Kind of swap that.
Like an indestructible force. That'd be amazing. So, I mean, to me, I was like, they're like Cylons, kind of, or like something like that.
That's what I thought. Like watching it last night, as it goes into kind of a wide shot, I was trying to get a good look at what they looked like, and they're not in complete focus, but their helmets, I was like, they look like old school Cylons.
Yeah.
Glad someone else spotted that. Yeah, that would be so cool.
That's not a knock on the design.
Already here.
I think. Yeah, I mean, yeah, true. That's not a knock on the design. I actually loved the shot of the ship coming in. I'm the kind of guy that when I watch these shows, I'm like, is that a practical ship? Because the way it just did that shot, the replication of like the aesthetic of A New Hope again, I was like, is that a real ship? Either way, it's just so beautiful to see. And I love the whole vibe on that like destroyer with the red lights behind Moff Gideon, and it's just so creepy. I love it.
Yeah.
Alex, that scientist guy in like the white uniform, so with him being there, you don't think those are like human? You think those are definitely droids?
Well, that was more of an engineer outfit. Like that's what Galen Erso's engineers wore in Rogue One. So they're more like weapons designers.
Okay.
Not so much like the guys we ran into earlier at the installation who all had like the Camino patch, like Pershing.
Yeah. Okay.
See, that's what makes me think they're on two different threads. Like it's like we've got to bring back the Empire, so we're just going to have all these projects running and then try and work something out. which yeah.
If they're on two different threads, and sorry to keep harping on this, something that I like that we've seen in other Disney era Star Wars stuff is that kind of bureaucracy and that infighting. And I think something that comes up in The Rise of Skywalker is a bit about kind of like, there's people in the First Order that know about Palpatine and all that, and they're kind of doing his bidding, but others don't know about it, and they're just going off doing their thing. Like, I wouldn't mind some sort of conflict there to be coming along. It's like maybe Gideon's out of the loop of this stuff. He's trying to do his own thing. There's a few people that are doing this Force thing, and I don't know. I love bureaucratic bickering. I just love it. That stuff, British TV show drama, like that kind of stuff. I love it. Love it.
Have you seen the movie Shin Godzilla? It's a Godzilla movie about bureaucracy. It is incredible.
Wow, it's on my list. It's on my list still.
It's pretty amazing. It made two people I watched it with fall asleep, but it's really good.
So it's good then. Like,
it's great.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
It had a 50% awake rate. 2 fell asleep, 2 stayed awake. So.
I like that idea that maybe Gideon maybe he knows about the people who are the First Order. Maybe he's in league with them, or maybe he's just like, no, you guys do that. It would be interesting to see him come into conflict with the eventual enemy, or maybe like at the end of the series, maybe he doesn't get killed by the Mandalorian or anything, and he runs off and he's like, okay, First Order people, I'm here now. And they're just like, nah, and they kill him instead. Like, you had your chance.
He gets huxed. Nice.
Yeah.
That'd be great. What if Richard E. Grant turned up at the end and did it?
Amazing.
Oh, man.
Cool. Kennedy would fit perfectly into that sort of a bridge between the Empire and the First Order, like those people, those older people who hate Hux because he's a tit.
That would actually, you know what? That would actually be kind of amazing if something along those lines happened with Gideon and his demise was kind of like darkly poetic, where they're like, you just wasted your time being this warlord, and like that's it. Like, just some guy that we know from the future or whatever. It doesn't have to be from the movies, maybe from new canon. Who knows? Somebody from the Aftermath trilogy later on. But yeah.
Does anyone have anything they want to touch on before we get into questions?
I liked the bit at the end with what's the New Republic guy's name?
Carson.
Carson. When Carson is talking to Kara, and they have that little conversation about Alderaan, and he kind of like gives his sympathies, and then he leaves her with like it almost looks like a medal of honor of some kind. And she's very much the kind of character that's like, I'm just here to rough people up, and she's kind of like the marshal of the town now. But you could tell that getting that kind of deep down meant something to her.
Sean, we were talking about it, weren't we? Like sorry, Alex.
No, you go ahead.
Sean and I were talking about it earlier. What were we saying about like taming the West or something like that? I think with the badge.
Yeah, and that, because at first when she put, like you say, the medal, I thought it was like a sheriff's badge.
That's what I think it is supposed to be. I listened to that with the audio description on, and it didn't really help me.
Yeah, it didn't tell.
But I similar to that, I like the thing when Carson's talking to Carl Weathers, and Carl Weathers is just like, yeah, beat it, cop.
Yeah.
He even has like a little notepad and a pen.
So good.
Like, you're way out of your jurisdiction, buddy.
Yeah.
That was to reduce the cops. It's so funny that that happened in episode 2. The same thing. They're just like, all right, we'll let you go.
Yeah.
See you next
with a
time.
warning.
Yeah. It would be really cool if he's following the story as well. Like that's something I wasn't expecting. Maybe that's like, okay, well, cool. Now we've got these space cops that are like on the tail of the Mando, like trying to follow what he's up to and keep tabs on him. It could be a really cool kind of like Fives-esque kind of moment where, someone who's connected to the good guys could reveal this sinister plot and no one listens to him.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
I wonder if that badge is going to come back. Like if it's something where Kara can like contact Carson and like call in a favor because
Yeah,
recognizes her as a legitimate law person or something.
Is that
Yeah.
like an old school captain's medallion where it
Yeah.
gives you some kind of special treatment?
Yeah,
Free
I
McDonald's.
know nothing.
One last thing as well. At the end, when the Razor Crest shows up and takes out the TIE fighter, or the 3 TIE fighters, when it first appeared, that was a big sort of the Falcon arriving at Crate vibes. Like, that's like one of my favorite Star Wars scenes, where it's just like build, and the TIE fighter just disappears. You're like, yeah, that's the good stuff. That's good Star Wars.
You know what's wild? And I know Favreau mentioned this too, or maybe it was Filoni saying that, like, because they didn't have to create the volume this time, they could put all their money into post for this season. Like that budget went heavily into post. Now I find myself being like, I can't tell what is what anymore. Like, everything looks so real, and like, just talking about what you're talking about, like all these scenes, like that ship scene looks like it's straight out of a movie. Where I can't really say that about everything in season 1. But this season is just, I can't tell anymore. And they're in a room. It's insane.
There were definitely in season 1 moments where I'd be like, okay, I know this isn't a green screen, but I know it's not quite right. But then there were still things that I was like,
I call it the next generation look, where like something's a little old school and off. Like, I don't know. It's like a classic early 90s aesthetic or something. But I don't see that at all this season.
There were still plenty of scenes in season 1 that completely fooled me. But I feel like I have not noticed a single time where I'm like, oh, they're in the volume now.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that Crate Dragon thing in episode 1, that whole Crate Dragon thing, that would be like a season finale for another show. Like, that would be like the big moment that they'd like. That would be like the second to last episode in a season of Game of Thrones, like the final like big thing. But here it's just like, okay, so let's just open the season with this quick little adventure with a Crate Dragon, and then we'll keep going. It's just amazing. It's just incredible.
And with Ahsoka taking out a bunch of Dark Troopers.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into some questions here. Caleb Levermore Rich, thanks for your super chat and question. I'm confused about the timeline. The New Republic was founded right after the Battle of Endor, and the Empire fell at the Battle of Jakku. When does the Mandalorian take place in regards to this? As far as we know, it's 5 years after Endor. That's the most concrete time they've given us. But even then, I think they're trying to purposely be a little bit vague.
Agreed. Yeah, I think they're giving themselves some wiggle room.
Well, I see this, and I mean, I need. Thanks so much, Hobbit Feet Andy. No question, but
Andy, you know which mug I'm drinking from.
That's amazing. How kind.
Yeah, I assume that it's about 5 years. I don't know if that they might have a little bit of wiggle room there.
Yeah, I've only ever heard the 5 years after ROTJ as well.
Yeah.
So unless they decide to change it, which they can, whatever.
But yeah.
2 years before ROTJ, who knows?
I think Favreau at one point was like, it's 9 years after A New Hope, and everyone was like, okay, 1, 2, like, Dragonus Prime says, it's your boy. Thanks for your super chat and question. I imagine someone here already knows, but the audio description of the episode states that the droids at the end are Dark Troopers. Yes.
That's cool.
I'm very excited about that. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, I never thought they would drag that in to this story.
Yeah, they keep
adding
stuff. They keep adding stuff to the show where, as a Star Wars fan, you're like, man, they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're doing the thing. It's the thing with the other thing, and it's the guy.
It's actually really effective to get you to want to go check out other things that are like old and stuff. Like, so now I'm rereading Aftermath. I didn't like it when I was reading the book, and I was like, I love Cobb Vanth now, irrationally, and now I need to know everything I can about him. So now I'm reading those books, and I'm like I don't know everything about old EU stuff, but the fact that they are bringing in games and all this stuff that people are pumped about, like, that's amazing. It's like the perfect palette for everything right now.
It feels like they're kind of fulfilling this. They never made this promise, but it was like a hope when they made things Legends. It stung at first, but I was like, okay. They're gonna cherry pick and they're gonna pull things back in, and it'll be so much fun when they do that and when it gets revealed. And like that happened for Thrawn, and it was amazing, and I loved it. It feels like it hasn't been happening as much until like now, and even, I mean, Cobb Vanth wasn't Legends, but he's from a book, and they're still like pulling this stuff in, and it is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, last week after seeing Bo-Katan, I went back and watched every episode of the Clone Wars and Rebels that she was in, just because I was like, "Yay, give me more!"
Yeah, that was
Anyone
so
else
cool.
cry like when her name got dropped? Like I just wept. I was just
Yeah, I got a little misty.
yeah. Oh, so
You know,
good.
the first thing I thought was like, why doesn't she look closer to 50? No, I'm just kidding.
Did you get on Twitter and get really angry about it?
I got so mad, man.
She should look older.
Yeah. Show's ruined.
David Wilson, thanks for your super chat and question. Does anyone else think Boba Fett was a one and done for this season? Totally cool with it personally. Also, Baby Yoda and Baby Groot would be best buddies. Cheers. I did absolutely think. Yeah. For the Baby Yoda stuff, I 100% thought of the Baby Groot scene in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where like, get the fin. He brings back a toe.
That's funny. Yeah, that's a good comparison.
But yeah, I do kind of think that Boba Fett might not be in the rest of this season. What do you guys think?
No, I mean, there's rumors that there's going to be a little Boba Fett miniseries being made. And I think that's it. I don't think he ties into this in any, well, unless he comes after his armor, I guess, but that's sort of, I don't know, I just don't see it. I think that we're too far pushing forward.
I think he's got to come back into it at some point, but my theory is that they just keep teasing him, and then maybe in season 5 he's finally like, all right, I'm here and I'm gonna hurt you.
I keep thinking that I really want to see him have a conversation with Din, because we keep getting all these other outside people telling Din about Mandalorian culture, what it is to be a Mandalorian, and I would love to hear what Boba Fett has to say about that too. Din
as an outsider.
That's the story thread that I am hoping for, because I actually was like, I don't want. Do I care about Boba Fett being in this? I'm kind of lukewarm.
Me too.
But but I'm just like, okay, he is in it. That's reality now. So if they go down that route of being like, you're just a kid you're a person of the Watch, this cult, and what does that even mean for you, a person who's a cult, and like, I'm just wearing this armor, you're no better, you know? So I feel like a lot of those conversations are going to happen if he comes back, and that's kind of what I hope. I hope it's not like a typical like, we're in Beskar armor, we're going to fight now. Like, that'd be just too easy, I think. So yeah, I do think he's going to come back. I don't know if it'll tie into the last 4 episodes of this season. I feel like it's a setup for something else, like Alex was saying, or something later down the line.
Yeah, or next season. Yeah.
I agree. I have been guessing that I think Boba Fett and Din will be at odds with each other, but yeah, I want them to not just fight for the sake of it. Like, I think they've done a really great job with Din and making this character who every other Mandalorian or person in Mandalorian armor that he runs into is like challenging his own beliefs, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's actually true. Like, first it's the guy that's part of his own covert, just doesn't trust him because he works with Imperials, and now it's the Clan Kryze
and Cobb Vanth.
And Cobb Bantha, the best man, the best lawman ever.
Yeah.
It's the first time I'm actually excited about Boba Fett. Like, you know, here's me winning fans in the chat room. I've never really liked Boba Fett. Couldn't care. You know, I know that's going to make people cry, but this is the first time. It's just like, just teasing him and actually showing potentially someone that's more mature and has learned some things. Like, I didn't like him in the Clone Wars at all. It just got tedious watching him just do stupid.
I know, I liked him in the Clone Wars. I think that was the first time I was into it. Yeah. Carry on, sorry.
Oh no, that's all. I was just going to complain about Boba Fett some more.
I'm mid on it.
I always liked him.
I felt the same, Nick, with Boba Fett being in the show. I was like, I don't see how he's going to fit. I don't want him to overshadow anything. But with that one little tease, I was like, okay, I can see how they could make this work.
Yeah. But what you said, Molly, I think is a really good a really good way to get him into it, like giving him some other perspective on being Mandalorian or outside of Mandalorian would be really great.
Mhm.
Want to see something happen by the end of maybe this season or into next season where he deeply questions who he is and what it means to be him. And I think, it's a good opportunity with Boba to do that.
I guess
You
it
know what
depends
was
on if we
cool?
go back
Oh.
to Tatooine.
I'm sure we will.
True.
Oh yeah.
I was
Once
going to
per
say,
season.
I missed talking about this earlier. Because we're talking about like what it means to be a Mandalorian right now, but when he just kind of lifts up his mask just to drink his soup.
Oh yeah.
I love when like Baby Yoda's like,
Yeah, he's like,
what's under there, Dad? Like, what do you look like? And
Yeah.
he's like and then they finally like sip at the same time together. But it's cool just like seeing these little hints of like foreshadowing the mask is gonna come off. It's gonna be it's gonna be a
I
thing.
think they 100% did that on purpose this episode.
Yeah.
Where he's like, all right, well, just a little, just to eat. Like,
And
all right.
I never noticed the sound effect of like the vacuum seal where it's like so I guess he can go in space, right? Like
We've seen other Mandalorians do it, so I would assume he could too.
Yeah, so somebody was like posting the argument. They're like, I don't think he can yet. He doesn't have the right. I was like, no, I hear the sound effect that Bo-Katan had too. So
yeah,
I was like, all right, he can be in space. Cool. Maybe that's where we're going. Mando's in space.
Mando's in space.
I wish there was some way I could group these together. Olivia Pirano, thank you for your super chat. I can't believe we're bringing Dark Troopers into this. I'm so excited to see what Gideon's master plan ends up being. I don't know what his plan is, but I love the idea of like instead of this metal called Frick, that they're like, let's use Beskar, because then it's just like an extra twist of the knife. It's going to make them harder to kill.
I remember reading on Wikipedia, or maybe I was reading the wrong part of this, but they said that some Shadow Troopers or Dark Troopers sometimes had lightsabers, like red lightsabers. Is that a thing? Or was I reading something wrong? Or was that Shadow Troopers or something?
I think that's Shadow Troopers. Dark Troopers in the game, some of them had vibro swords, but no lightsabers.
Yeah. Okay. So I was like, if that's the case and that's what happens, like, oh my God. That'd be bananas.
Were Dark Troopers? Yeah.
Purge Troopers.
Purge
Are they the ones from the
Jedi
Fallen Order game? Yeah.
They have those kinds of energy weapons.
Like, electrostabs,
Yeah. So that's one of the things I thought it could have been. I was like, are they Purge Troopers maybe? Because, that makes sense, like the Mandalorian Purge and all that sort of stuff. Like, but no, Dark Troopers.
That'd be interesting if they had that same helmet design.
Yeah.
So I guess they don't have to be the Dark Troopers that we know from the video game.
No.
Like, they can be something different just by name.
Yeah, Dark Troopers in the video game, there were like 3 versions of them. I don't think they're going to do all that. I think they're probably going to simplify it and just be like, they're tall, scary stormtrooper looking robot things, and they'll just keep it at that. I don't think they're going to go into everything the video game did.
What's kind of interesting too is like they're bulky and giant, like from like the super battle droids from Din's flashbacks. So I wonder when he faces this, if it's going to be kind of like a whoa, like this reminds me of like this moment in my childhood. Like, I don't know, like not like a PTSD moment, but just something that like throws him off about this. Cause I feel like that's what Moff Gideon's going to do essentially is, my troops couldn't take you out, but these things will. And I'm going to get that child. So.
Well, I remember Giancarlo Esposito saying that, or hinting at a lightsaber fight and getting to like fight with a saber. I assumed it would be the dark saber, but or maybe he will wield the dark saber and we'll see Bo-Katan again, and maybe Bo-Katan, if these troopers are wielding some kind of vibro sword, maybe she gets one of them and that's the lightsaber fight that he's referring to. Because I don't know if we're going to see Ahsoka use her lightsaber, and no one else has a lightsaber. So.
Yeah, I'm still torn on like, is it too egregious to do it, or is it like the right time? I still can't tell.
It's always the right time. Always the right time for lightsabers.
Yeah,
Definitely.
do it. I want to see lightsabers against Beskar. Like, I definitely want to see that in the show. I want to see like some, like gauntlet deflecting and all that sort of stuff. Like, that'd be cool.
What's interesting is everything that's been in the trailers we've now seen. There's nothing left. So there's 4 episodes left, and we have not seen a single frame of it.
It's
all unknown.
God.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah. That's pretty wild. So, well, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. So that's just pretty wild. I can't wait. And there's still the next one's Dave Filoni's directing it, I believe. Directed and wrote, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, I believe we know he wrote it, and it's like safe to assume that he directed it.
Yeah.
And so you probably know who's going to pop up.
I believe it says on IMDb already that he just directing it.
Yes. And
IMDb has been bad at spoiling things. Like, I don't know if you've looked at any of the IMDb stuff before the actual episode has come out. There's been a couple of times where I wished I hadn't. It's just
I forgot about IMDb.
I did look at it before this episode, and that's how I knew what was going to happen. Like the whole chase scene, they had pictures of that on IMDb. But
all right, let's go on to Mr. Pex. Thanks so much for your super chat and question. There were so many crazy reveals this episode that it's hard to get my head straight about it. Do you think Navarro was one of Palpatine's observatories, like the one on Jakku?
Oh,
didn't seem to be. It seemed like your standard Imperial installation. I don't know if it was an observatory, but they're definitely.
I wonder how many of those clone bases that they've got. Because it was definitely sort of having Werner Herzog there and Pershing and all that, and like how many planets have they sort of built little laboratories on just in case,
right?
Or how many are still left?
I feel like it didn't...
Oh, sorry, Monica.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say it didn't look that old, and I feel like if it had been there since Palpatine was around, that lava probably would have melted it by then, even with the coolant.
Yeah, I unfortunately don't know enough about the observatory stuff besides the Jakku that it was on Jakku. So
I mean, there were different ones. One was on Jakku. One was, and Imperial was basically just a storage facility. Like,
yeah, that's what
this one seemed. Yeah, this one seemed like a standard base to me. It's probably just maybe something that Gideon repurposed.
Yeah, like I guess upon initial watch, I was like, it's just like a storage facility, like an Imperial storage, because they had like the truck or whatever that vehicle is, just looked like something that would move cargo around, but that happens to have like a gun on it. I don't know.
Like during the police interviewee or the police report bit scene at the end, he says that they're not isolated incidents. So like these things, it's happening. So yeah, I think there will be other locations, other cloning locations and stuff like that. Definitely. Maybe the rebellion knows about some of them. Maybe they don't. I don't know.
I do wonder what other incidents they're referring to.
Yeah.
Colton Roberts, thanks for your super chat and question. I personally think that they're trying to tie the Palpatine clone or Snoke to the child. I love the theory that Gideon wants to become Force sensitive. I hope the latter is true and not the former.
I'm the other way.
Well, that's fine, Sean. That's just fine.
Eject button.
Everyone likes their Star Wars a little different, and that's okay.
That's it. That's the joy of it.
Jacob the Hodge, thanks for your super chat and question. How long has it been since the end of season 1? I'm going to guess not long at all.
No.
Yeah, I have no real sense of it. It doesn't feel like too much time has passed. The kid's still, I mean, he's still a little baby, but maybe he'll be a baby for a very long time.
I guess it's how long has passed since Navarro has gone from episode 8 to this.
Yeah. It's definitely been a good amount of time just because of what Mando said about having to travel sub light speed and how long it takes. So like, who knows how long it took them to get to Trask and back from there with the ship falling apart.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And they have like a functional school, which, you know, so I guess some amount of time, at least half a year, right?
Yeah.
Get a school up and running.
Months to low digit years. probably.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like sometimes time in Star Wars is like like the Empire
Yeah.
Strikes Back, where like how long was Luke training? Was it
Yeah.
a matter of
I lo-
days?
It's funny. I love one of J.J. Abrams' quotes from The Force Awakens commentary, where he's like, if you were ever saying like these planets are way too close together scientifically, you'd be right. But Star Wars isn't a science lesson, so moving on. And I'm just like, oh, nice. Like, what a funny dig, but also just saying it what it is. It's just silly and goofy sometimes, and it's spectacle. So
Yeah.
it's funny.
Matt Thornton, thanks for your super chat and question. Those bodies and the tubes and black figures, I'm getting Reborn and Shadow Trooper vibes from Jedi Outcast. There's your Shadow Troopers.
It's a Jedi Outcast. I think I just bought that on PlayStation. I should probably play it. I don't know. You know when things go on sale sometimes, and you're just like, "I'll buy that."
Yeah. Star Wars,
I'll buy that.
I'll take that.
I feel like sometimes Star Wars like ventures into this kind of Lovecraftian horror accidentally, and I feel like this was a perfect example of it too. Like just seeing those tubes of whatever the heck is going on, like, oh man, I'm so curious. I do hope we get a lot, like at least one more exploration into that before this season closes out.
Yeah, I mean, I like that they're going, okay, let's answer a question about Baby Yoda, why we want him a little more specifically, but also that raises more questions.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. God, I don't know. Like, I know we're just at the halfway point of the season, but I feel really satisfied where we're at the moment, and there's always that little bit of anxiety as we get to the close of a season, as they start revealing more and more and more. You know, like I like this moment right here where it's just like, what the hell? What could it be? Like that is my favorite part in any show.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, sometimes resolutions you're like, oh man, or like you just feel kind of it's just because it ended, you know. But yeah, I like riding the wave up to the end there.
The future Venture Brothers was always good at that. It was like it would ask all these questions, then when it answered them, the answers would involve more questions. So you just kept moving, and then the show got cancelled, and it was the worst thing ever because I never got any of the answers I needed. But it was good at that. But this episode did feel as though it could have been the season finale. Like if it had ended there and we had to wait a year, that would have been pretty wild. But I like the fact that it's like, no, there's like a mid-season finale. We got more to
know. Robert Bush, thanks for your super chat, says, I think this is the most absent Mando has been. That's true. I didn't really think about that. Like, yeah, he just takes off to go get the kid, and there's a good 5 minutes.
Yeah.
10 minutes, maybe.
That's Carl Weathers being like, I'm the star of this one. Get out of here.
Absent from the show, but
it didn't even cross my mind right now. It's funny.
I did notice that it was like the first time we were seeing like side characters. Well, it's like side characters without, and when Baby Yoda wasn't there, Mando wasn't there, just like having their own little adventure in their little car chase. Like the closest thing to that is like when IG-11 bursts into town and he's got Baby Yoda with him. You know, it's still part of the clan of two. But yeah, like you said, I think Carl Weathers was just like, I'm Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
The camera loves me.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
God, he's good. He's so
good.
He's
good.
I will say, like, now that you pointed out, yeah, like I didn't really acknowledge it because I was just so absorbed in the episode. But I think that's also a good thing, maybe. Like, maybe they're effectively figuring out how to, like, have a couple minutes to something to have somebody else shine for a little bit, because it felt okay to me. But like his absence for a few minutes, you know, didn't feel out there.
It didn't really make me realize. Like he had to point it out to me before I even realized.
I mean, here's the question: Is Din Djarin the best pilot in the galaxy? Because he's like, he never loses. Most of the time.
Remember why he's on Navarro in the first place.
But man, I saw some moves.
Cops chase him, they do mess him up. Like he does end up getting himself into a bit of a state.
I mean, the Razor Crest seems to be pretty notorious. So
It's just some of the moves in that episode at the end there, just bananas.
Yeah.
when he just like cuts the engines and it goes down.
Yeah, baby.
And
I
I
was
love
like,
just like
wow.
those little details of like all the flaps and vents opening up to slow it
Yeah.
down, and like so cool.
Yeah, it was a stunning scene. Oh, so good.
Trevin Pettigrew, thanks for your super chat and question. Said in your video about Bo-Katan that Din could be the next leader of Mandalore. Do you think Bo-Katan will betray Din because her people look towards him for leadership and not her? We're gonna talk about this a bit in the Q&A tomorrow, but everyone here gets a little preview. So someone poses the question: could Bo-Katan trade the child for the Darksaber? And I really dig that idea. I don't want it to happen, but the idea of it is she has this desire. She wants the Darksaber really bad, and Moff Gideon wants the child really bad. Like that. Well, if that presents itself, I think it's a great idea.
That
That'd
would
be so
be
wild.
my ultimate nightmare is this season of this show ending on a cliffhanger of Baby Yoda being in the hands of Moff Gideon.
That would be
That's my theory. I think that's what's gonna happen. But if it's Bo-Katan, not only is she gonna have ultimate beef now with Mando Dad, she's gonna be in the hot seat with Ahsoka. And
yeah, that's
you know what I mean? Like, oh my god.
Yeah, you're right. And
That'd
like,
be-
and with the fans, like, I don't want her to do it. I like her a lot, but
it's not bad though. It's a great, interesting storytelling point. Yeah,
it's more one of those like it feels like the join me moment. Like here's the thing that you want more than anything, and now you have to decide if you're going to be good or bad right now. So hopefully it chooses good. But
yeah, and Esposito alluded to his power of persuasiveness or manipulation or something in his interview. So that'd be, I mean, I have to imagine it's some sort of interesting dialogue with somebody. You know,
I want to mention it's Jake Tricks, one of our patrons. That was their idea and question. So shout out to you. It's a great idea.
That's fantastic.
It's harsh and good. It's harsh and awful and all those things.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
that's when it gets good though.
That's what makes it good.
Think about I hadn't considered that, but yeah, Bo-Katan. Like, I mean, we meet her and she's in Death Watch. She's no angel. So inclined. Yeah, she will do what she thinks is right for her and her people at the cost of others.
Yeah, I mean,
imagine a year of that being the ending too. Just like he's taken for a whole year. Oh god.
That'd be awful. In the last episode, when Mando tells her like you're altering the plan, she's like, "Yeah, deal with it." Like she's doing it for selfish reasons. So
she's got darkness in her still. So I think
made me upset.
I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry. I think there is
Matt's just gonna sign off.
It could also lead into like a good old fashioned double crossing kind of moment. Like we all think that she's gonna trade the child for the Darksaber, but then secretly she's teamed up with Din to take him down. I don't know.
Well, I mean, little plug. We think that there's going to be a different betrayal. We think it's going to be the Armorer.
Oh, and where can people watch more information about that theory, Matt?
Sean, where can people find more information about that theory?
If you go to Blue Bantha Milk Co. on YouTube, we have a video we just put up, and with a theory about the real antagonist of the Mandalorian, and we believe it could be the Armorer, as cult leaders tend to go a little bit to the dark side once people start turning on them, and once followers decide they want to go their own way. So check that video out. It's it's really good.
Right at about the hour mark, there are links in the description to both AT-AT-Chat and Blue Bantha Milk's channels and Twitters if you want to go give them a follow and a subscribe. We still got a lot of questions, guys. If you ever have to go, that's fine. But if you want to hang,
keep them coming.
Keep hanging.
Keep them coming. Oh, quickly, just before the next question, what I will say about that theory is I think it feeds into what you said earlier, Alex, about, like the maybe Beskar Dark Troopers. I would love to see something where it's like the Beskar is actually being fed to Gideon and it's the Armorer doing it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
The armor is doing the work. Ooh.
Now you've
She
upset
made some
me.
deal.
We
I
can
just
go
have a
off-
hard
off on
time.
and cry.
I have a hard time with the Armorer being that role because of how much I like the Armorer.
Yeah.
That's literally it. Like, I have
But
no good reasons.
if you think
Well, you didn't know
back
she
to
was a
her-
cult leader.
Cult leader.
Yeah.
to her line about how any possible extra Beskar lying around would go great to the foundlings, and
Mhm.
where are these foundlings she's talking about? I don't know.
Yeah.
She has got all the at the end of episode 8. She's kind of like collecting all of the armor, isn't she? That's been left over.
Yep.
Ooh.
Oh, like maybe she made.
Troopers? Oh no.
Interesting. So maybe she did like make a deal so she could live and like be like, here's the best car you need.
Yeah.
She just killed all those stormtroopers for fun.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't? Like, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
practice.
Really cool scene.
Yeah. Velderin, thank you for your super chat and question. I think Gideon is making an army of infused with force powers shadow troopers similar to Legends and Jedi Outcast again. Gaelic Fire. I can't remember if Gallic. I don't know if I said that right. I mispronounced so many things. It's
Okay, like,
If those troopers were force sensitive, I feel like they'd be pretty hard to control.
Well, one thing I thought about too earlier with the M count and force sensitive stuff is like, what if he just wants to create a Darth Vader sort of left hand man too, like or something? So maybe the whole force and the whole M count thing and the droids at the end, maybe they're just not exactly the same exact thing right now. Like that's kind of what Sean was saying earlier, but in a different way.
I'd be down for that too. Like, I just like the idea that he is trying to control something that he has no idea how to control. He just assumes that he can. So yeah, it's something else like that where it's like it immediately gets away from him. Would be fun.
It might be a case of like, because we're sort of saying like, oh, he's trying to emulate Vader, but it might be a case of he's more like, oh no, I want to be like Tarkin, so I want to be like the guy in charge, but I want this like enforcer, which would be. Because when you watch, it's weird when you watch New Hope now, and it's like Vader is bodyguard almost, which is so well.
Yep. Palpatine used Anakin / Vader as kind of the poster boy and like the boogeyman.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah.
So yeah, who knows? Of course, we may be thinking totally too much into it, and he just wants like big robot stormtroopers. But
it's Star Wars.
We
We're
almost
gonna
certainly
overthink
are.
it's for
Remember when that snow planet was Ilum? When I was convinced.
I still think it is.
Yeah.
No.
It definitely is. We got 2 super chats from Ted Comet. Thanks so much. Just finished the episode. Molly, what are your top 3 Baby Yoda moments in this episode? The guys in tubes could be cyborgs and clones, and I heart Shin Godzilla. And that almost also says the scene where Mando is trying to instruct Baby Yoda reminds me of trying to explain to my mom the difference between a TIE fighter and an X-wing.
So my top 3 Baby Yoda moments. I think I giggled the most when he put his arms up in the air and was like laughing in the ship. So that would be 1. 2 would be him with the wires, probably. And then 3 might be him stealing the other kids' macaroons, space macaroons.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
He's like, can I have one? No? Okay, I'm going to take it anyway.
I loved when he specifically coughed in the little wire room. And he's like, ah. I was like, oh, that's so cute. I was like, oh, man. I need to save him.
Yeah.
I think the wire, I mean, it was just an all-around great episode for the baby. I don't know what made me laugh the most. I think the wires did.
Yeah, it's funny to think about too. Like he got placed into a class, but he's like a 50-year-old.
Yeah.
He's there.
What if he's like, I already took this class.
He's like, I already know all this.
I know where the Katie's Maelstrom is.
Yeah.
Could have been sitting at the back of the room. He could have like just pulled out a cigarette. Just been like, What's up, Teach? You know,
Teach. Oh my god.
I don't know. I watch terrible movies.
Double O'Sullivan, thanks for your super chat and question. Do you think the use of the March of Resistance to underscore Kara and Carson could be foreshadowing her having a part in starting the Resistance, or what other reason could there be for its use? Well, they used it for Carson and Trapper Wolf in chapter 10 as well, I believe. So I think it's just like we're not using the Rebel Alliance theme. We're kind of, and we don't have a New Republic theme, so we're just gonna subtly throw in this other
the hints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They show it right on
the
Kara,
march of the resistance. The resistance is growing and building, and you're seeing this sort of like you were saying before, the space cops, where the sort of that one guy is sort of like, something is rotten in Denmark, and I can't work out what it is. And the thing is going to be that they need a resistance. So maybe there's this very, very deep foreshadowing.
Yeah, kind of like the birth of the resistance. Yeah, the birth of the resistance, or the ideas being planted in people's heads.
Yeah,
I would like to see it mean that maybe Kara is thinking about it. You know, like finding something new to fight for. Like, I mean, she was not into that when we first met her, and now we've seen, obviously, she's decided to fight for this town. Maybe that's just kind of a stepping stone for her to, you know, go for something a bit bigger, a bit more important. That would be kind of cool. Yeah, I
was gonna say, I think she needs to have a bit more. Like I said, I like the character. I just think there needs to be a bit more depth now that the Alderaan stuff has been brought up a lot, and you know, that's no small loss. She lost everyone. So I think that being brought up and then seeing the rebellion logo is kind of just like, all right, I need to jump back into this regardless of whatever it is that I'm pretending not to feel anymore or something. Because that's like kind of the vibe I think she gives off, maybe in the show, but also I could just be, again, reading too much into it. But yeah, I'm hoping she kind of does some sort of pre-resistance sort of thing, trying to build that, like going to the fight, I guess, in that sense.
I think her story is one of like letting go of like the need for revenge, the rage. Like she just wants to hide until Amando's like, oh, you can come kill Imperials with me, and she's like, great. And now she doesn't really know what to do, and she isn't like helping rebuild. She's just angry.
Yeah, she seems like she has like a quiet seething going on or something. And like, and that's the question. Like, he leaves her with this thing, and he's like, all right, you make the choice now. What are you going to do? So, could be cool.
Yeah. Jane Dalton, thanks for your super chat and question. Being that it's so far in the Outer Rim and it has specialized technology, is it possible that the base that they destroyed is one of the Emperor's outposts, like on Jakku in Aftermath?
Possibly.
Still maybe. Possibly. I think probably not.
Personally, I think that whole base is Snoke.
The whole thing.
I thought it was Rey's mom.
Yeah.
Marty Bricks, thanks for your question in super chat. We've seen all footage from trailers in the first 4 episodes, so we don't really know much about the second half of the show. What do you think? Still love it.
Yeah, I'm so excited that we don't know anything about what's coming.
Yeah, no idea.
Yeah, so I was a huge complainer when all the TV spots for TLJ came out. I was like, what? Like, even like the director Ryan Johnson was like, don't watch them if you don't want to be spoiled. And I wasn't trying to watch these things, but I saw the one where the lightsaber flies in the Rey's hands, where Kylo Ren's, and I was like, oh my god, that's in a TV episode. What? So I was so happy that I just watched these 2 random, very just montagey trailers, and I know nothing. Like, we saw everything, so now I have no idea what's happening, and that's how I want to feel. Like, I don't even want trailers anymore for Star Wars. Show me a poster, put Lucasfilm on it. I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah, so. It reminded me of episode 9. The trailer showed the Orbax on the Star Destroyer, and I was like, that would have been so cool if I hadn't already seen it. Like, because they build it up so well with like, they're not, what do they say, they're
not in transport.
Yeah, they're
And
not
it's
in
like-
transports. So
Yeah.
good.
And the fleet arriving at the end, which was in all the like that's the problem. That all the sort of big moments were in the not all the big moments, but most of the big moments were in the trailer. You're like, yeah, these are the moments where you want to like not know what's going to happen and it be like a big thing rather than being, we're building up to that scene that I've seen.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you're always waiting for that thing, and now that we've seen it all, you're just like, well, all of our theories are wrong, kind of. First and most, and that's awesome. Like, I remember a video I had where I'm like, oh man, everything I predicted for Kylo Ren happened.
I think
I don't like it. I don't like this. This is boring.
People were complaining when the second trailer for The Mandalorian this season was like a minute long and it wasn't much. And I'm like, yeah, we're complaining now, but when we're watching it, we're going to be very happy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Trust
Who
kind
knows
of
what's gonna happen?
put a bit of a fear in me because of it sort of bucked that trend of like trailer or teaser one and at least trailer one generally never gave away too much historically. But then, after watching Trust, I was like, oh, they actually really just gave away so much in the first, run out the door. And so like I've tried to avoid things, especially TV spots. They are
TV spots.
Those are the worst. Yeah.
well, they're for the people that are still undecided, like a week before going to the, am I going to watch this Star Wars thing? And it's like, yeah, here, let's just give them half the story. Like,
I hope there's really a guy like that somewhere, just like in a living room, like, am I going to watch this? All right.
Yeah.
Watched all
It's
the-
like, it's really angry.
That's the point of putting like trailers for Mando during football games, right?
Yeah. It's just tough. This is tough. I'm going to watch it.
looks manly. What is this baby thing?
He has a beard under that helmet. I'm watching it.
Ooh, a space western. Yes.
They are nailing the Western. It's wild.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like so somebody was saying, like they've like Star Wars figured out how to do the new mythology so well with this, and I was like, yeah, you're dead right. Like now I'm watching Westerns that I should have watched years ago. Just being like, oh yeah, it's just like this, and it's just like that. That's cool. So no more like generic one person hero's journey, I guess, for a while. So we'll find out.
We got a super chat from Aaron Bagel. Thank you. Says, I can't wait for Auralnauts to flip the show on its head where Moff Gideon is the head of Space Child Protective Services and Mando's the bad guy.
That they would make
very
that.
good. Yeah. You let your son do what in the back of your ship?
That's
something. Like nearly every episode, I'll be sitting on the couch and my partner will be sitting next to me and she'll turn and just be like, why is he leaving the child? Like, what's he doing? Like, what the hell is he doing? And this episode kind of felt like the first time where I felt like he was being a proper parent. And it's like, what did it take? Like a million spiders nearly eating your child to make you go, I better look after it. Like, it's not a toy. It's
maybe it was him finally seeing a giant monster eat him. He's like, wow, I feel emotions for this little guy.
Yeah.
Now I gotta keep this man alive. So now he's like, all right, you're my son.
Yeah.
God.
Ted comment with another super chat. Just realized no Mandalorian bodies at the end of last season probably means Gideon used the Darksaber to force the Zealots to surrender. That is interesting. It's just a pile of armor, but I get the sense that was more just because it's like we're trying to keep this PG-13 and like we don't need a pile of dead bodies. The armor's enough, I think.
Yeah.
Or are they the volunteers?
Oh no. John, no. Oh, that's good. Bad, terrible, but
yeah, I
Now I'm having
understood
horrible
earlier
thoughts.
that they weren't really volunteers. That's
Although, if we get to see anyone from Clan Vizsla getting experimented on, that'll make me deeply happy.
Yes, you do have a weird anti-Vizsla thing.
I hate them. I just hate the Vizslas.
they're baddies.
It sounds like a humorous cartoon. Hate the Vizslas or something.
Jane Dalton, thanks for another super chat. Do you think it's possible that the Dark Trooper armor will be made from Beskar? I think that would make it more personal to the Mandalorian. Yes, I think that's very possible. I love
And the
that
armor
idea.
might be making it as well. Is the other theory.
You're full of terrible,
Really,
gut wrenching ideas.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Mike V, thanks for your super chat. Knowing Palp's contingencies, there could be moles in the remnant factions that report research progress back to the First Order, unbeknownst to Gideon. It keeps the show focused on Gideon's goals. I
That'd
mean,
be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there were like a First Order agent or whatever they are at this point. I don't know if they are the First Order or what, but
He's a bit more of like an effective Krennic, where like he can instill fear, but his research is for really somebody above him just to usurp eventually. It'd be kind of cool.
yeah. Drew Funk, thanks for your super chat. A way that Boba could tie into the remaining 4 episodes is now that there's a tracking device on the Razor Crest. Gideon tasks him with hunting Din. I don't think that anyone's hiring Boba Fett right now.
Yeah, he's taking some me time, isn't he? He's just like he's reflecting. He's just trying to work out what he's about.
Just hanging out on that hill.
Yeah.
Just hanging out on the hill, just staring.
He's like,
How
all
long-
right,
yeah,
it's
how long
time to
was
be
he
my
there?
own boss.
That's it.
Question: do we think if we do get more Boba Fett, do you think that they'll finally actually kill him off? Like
Do I-
permanently?
Depends on what they want to do with it.
It would be really
Fine.
funny if it was unceremonious, just like in Return of the Jedi again.
Throw him
And,
back
like,
in the pit.
Yeah, no, like somebody just turns around and just he dies, and then they're just like,
He trips.
there he was, guys. Yeah,
I
Boba
know.
Fett. Yeah,
He's allergic to Mithril Musk, and the guy, like,
He sneezes on her or whatever that
Yeah.
was.
I kind of
Maybe-
like the idea that Boba Fett is having to live out the rest of his life knowing the things that he's done, and it kind of haunts him, and he's got some severe PTSD.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in Star Wars right now. I feel like that's the definite thing that's going to be happening with the Obi-Wan series. Some sort of
Yeah,
war-induced nightmarish dreams,
Mhm.
you know, and stuff like that.
That would be so
and
cool.
the Bad Batch for sure. All
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
clones.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say too about I was thinking about this because they say the Great Dragon could have eaten the Sarlacc, so maybe this is kind of like the Rancor and his owner kind of situation where like Boba Fett survived because the Great Dragon ate the Sarlacc, and now he's really pissed at Mando, so he's going to confront him for killing the big Great Dragon.
I don't think the Krayt Dragon ate that Sarlacc.
Imagine if that came true, though. No, I'm just trying to make Matt laugh.
Yeah, he just wants revenge.
Oh God! But you know that there'd be some people out there like, well, of course it is. Of course, they said it. Sarlacc.
Lucasfilm confirmed. Yeah, that would be the headline.
Sean, I got a question for you from Robert Bush. Thanks for your super chat. Where do you think the armor is now?
I don't know. It's a big. Well, possibly on that ship with Gideon working with him. I don't know. It's, to be honest, because we kind of like wrote, edited, and got that video out about the armor very quickly. Like it was just an idea that came to us. And at the start of this episode, when they were in the catacombs, I was like, "Oh no! If the armor is there, it might just ruin my whole thing. The whole theory's going to fall apart." But obviously, yeah, she wasn't. So I don't know. She's in the wind. She's
That was the
somewhere.
incentive of getting it out that quickly too. We were like, oh, and we got about 10 minutes before the episode. It was like either they're going to do something or they're not. And if they do something with her, then we're either going to be right or we're wrong, and we got to get it out before the episode.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, stay tuned.
But I don't think she's on Navarro anymore. I think she's off doing something. But I don't know. It's hard.
Shopping.
Yeah,
Maybe on the moon. Maybe on the moon of Mandalore.
Mm.
On the moon.
The Gold Man, thanks for your super chat and question. Cool to see Adat here. I love the work y'all do for the community. Sorry if you addressed this, just got here. Odds that the cloning involves Snoke. We are pretty split on this. Sean wants it to happen. I don't want it to happen. Matt kind of wants it to happen.
Yeah, I want hints.
The only connection I want is it to just like if somebody has an informant and it informs the science lab on Exegol, the Sith Senate statuette. If that's what's happening, cool. I just don't want a direct link, I guess. So
It's fair.
Yeah. Subtlety.
Dan23, thanks for the super chat, and as a comment that yes, the Star Wars Commander app did have Dark Troopers in it, so technically they are canon already. I don't think they're gonna pay attention to that when they do it in the show.
Yeah, I don't think John
they're
Favreau is gonna take a look at an app, or is that what it is?
Yeah, it was a mobile app
mobile
that I
game.
think is shut down now. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Anyone play it?
I haven't.
It wasn't fun. Like, I mean, it started off kind of okay, but then it was one of those like in-app purchases kind of thing. Just you hit a point very quickly where you're like, I've done all these things, and it's like, well, how do I get enough resources to be able to do anything beyond here? And I was just like, yeah, get out the credit card, and that was what stopped me. Yeah, bad game, and hard to control too. Anyway.
Yeah, anytime stuff has been kind of canon for a while in a lot of reference books, it's at least been mentioned, or sometimes games do it. I'm like, I don't think they're gonna really stick strictly to what they did in that game that like even I haven't played. So
yeah.
What does canon even mean?
Played something.
Yeah, who cares anyway? It's just like it means what we want it to mean, Nick.
Yeah, what is canon? Canon's just a couple of words out of a made-up alphabet. So it's nonsense. I'm just kidding.
It's like I do care very much about canon, but like when it gets fiddled with, I'm like, well, that's gonna happen occasionally, and just not gonna get mad about it every time.
Go with the flow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Foley, thanks for your super chat and questions. Greetings from MT is Montana, right? I'm not good with my I'm better with my Star Wars geography.
Heck with the Australians. Yes, it is.
Yeah. I know it from obsessively watching the election map.
Oh my god.
Do you think The Mandalorian could be a starting point / experiment to legitimize the sequels as the Clone Wars did to the prequels? I mean, I don't think that the prequels needed legitimization. I don't think the sequels need legitimization. I do kind of see the prequels as almost like George's Clone Wars 2.0, just like really tell the story he wanted to tell. He took a lot of threads that he didn't get to do in the movies, like the Boba Fett revenge story, and he put it in the Clone Wars instead. So
yeah, I was going to say like maybe a better way to think about it is like maybe this will help make a couple ambiguities a little clearer at best, which is what I really like about the Clone Wars. There's but also again, like the movies, they're legitimized to me. Anything else just helps the whole universe feel bigger and more cohesive.
Exactly. I definitely don't think Jon Favreau sat down to be like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just like clear up a bunch of questions people have about the sequel trilogy. Like, no,
imagine
he wants to tell his own story.
Like, we got to get to Snoke. We're going to get there by season 2.
Just a massive whiteboard, and it's just Snoke at one end.
With a big question mark
like
circled 8 times.
The Charlie Day image of all the nonsense.
That's a. I'm sorry to say, I find that a really odd question. I mean, they're legitimate. Like, I don't want to get into a big sequels thing, but I mean, they exist. There you go, legitimate, done.
Yeah, I just feel like whatever helps flesh things out to help other people just make sense of things that they might still feel like doesn't make sense. Like even I have things like that. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, Star Wars is great at that, where they take things that are vague, ambiguous, or things that like I don't like Palpatine coming back in The Rise of Skywalker. There's probably some story someone could tell that would make me like it a little bit more. Like they've done that constantly. So I could see there's potential there for maybe The Mandalorian to make me appreciate some things that I didn't like about the sequels a little bit more. But It doesn't need legitimization.
Yeah. I mean, one thing right now I could think of is like, I like that we're getting little bits of the New Republic, like very tiny bits in the form of X-Wings. So, I think hopefully they keep expanding on that a little bit more, but it is what it is. We'll get what we get. And the mystery is kind of cool too. Just the vagueness of Star Wars kind of keeps it feeling like Star Wars sometimes. So,
and like to Alex, to your point about like, appreciating things a bit more, like Sean, didn't you have that with the novelization, like the Trust novelization?
I was very, very cold on The Rise of Skywalker for ages. And then, I read the novelization and it not completely switched me from like disliking to loving it, but I definitely found there was stuff in there that I was like, oh yeah, no, this is better. Like this has made the whole experience better. It's like fleshed out a couple of things, and there was an explanation of the Palpatine return, but then also kind of they added in some cool backstory. There's a scene where Kylo Ren goes and sees Chewie when he's imprisoned, and there was a cool little sequence. And I was like, yeah, these bits have actually helped color in some of the outside bits in the same way the Clone Wars did for me with the prequels. Like the prequels, I was always quite cold on them. Clone Wars kind of made it. I was like, oh no, there's a bigger, deeper story, but it's all one big story, and no one's. And to go back on the question, it's not a thing of like, Lucas and Filoni weren't sitting down going, God, we've got to make this 7-season show just to make sure people like the Attack of the Clones.
Right.
It's all just one very big story with little bits and pieces. You're like,
I would love them to make a parody in that vein, though. Like they actually get interviewed and they're like, well, people didn't like these movies, so we just had to make 7 seasons of this show to make sure, in 20 years people would like them and just be deadpan serious. That'd be amazing.
We have to do a 4-episode arc, like a little frog takes a crack team of droids. That was
That's when we knew we figured it out. James Oki, thanks for your super chats and question. They seem to be borrowing a lot of General Mock for the Moff Gideon character. General Mock was the person who made the Dark Trooper in Dark Forces. Obsession with cybernetics and personal, and the person who made the Dark Trooper product. Yeah, and he had an obsession with combat. So, I can definitely see some Mock in there. Sure.
Could be a happy coincidence. Could be an actual planned out thing. I don't know. That's interesting.
I think we'll have to see what they do specifically with the Dark Troopers before we can like really make that call. But Jonathan Sky, thanks for your super chat. Why hasn't anyone mentioned the space ferret yet?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that thing was disturbing though a little bit.
Yeah.
What were they called? Were they like lava meerkats? I thought I saw someone say on Twitter or something like that. They have a proper name that's very earthy.
Yeah, it was literally just like space ferret. Yeah, lava ferret or something like that. But,
yeah, they were in like episode 7, right? Like last season.
Something that I noticed in my second rewatch, I saw that one of the Aqualish's face, it was burned. The one that was going to like chop it up and eat it.
Yeah.
In the concept art, you can see the ferret like breathing fire onto somebody. So I guess they cut that out.
Right. Like jumping. Or something.
Yeah,
It's in midair, isn't it? In the
I think he's holding it by the tail, and it's like bending up and breathing fire on his face. So like he'd been burnt, but I guess they cut that little sequence out.
Oh,
interesting. I didn't catch that.
I do love how like some of the practical effects in some of these episodes are quite crappy, but they work so well. Like the initial ferret, I was like, okay, that's just like a thing on a string. Yeah. But also like in was it last week was the Trask episode? Like the little fish in the bowl that Baby Yoda's playing with, and it was just like a toy just going, just moving.
I feel like it has to be that too, or else it isn't. Yeah, like I know everybody like with this when the sequels came out, they're like, we're going back to return to form, and like I'm like, I don't care if it's prequel domes or whatever, but I just like that like in the front of the camera look, and just seeing like the old school puppets who kind of look scary, like because that just was like a stuffed animal, like a taxidermy ferret. But like I was like, yeah, this is what I know you're laughing. Sorry, but like. I was like, yes, this is what Star Wars should look like: creepy, weird, disturbing a little bit.
Yeah.
And if that was fully CG, I feel like I'd be like, yeah, like parts of it were CG, but like for the most part, it just seemed like just this thing that had a rod in it to like kind of make it move. So
Yeah. The bits where it's eating, I loved
like
it.
around her head and just been all like too much. But it's like no, the
Too
stuff
animated.
a thing on a stick.
I was kind of hoping like it would stay with her. I've been watching His Dark Materials recently, so I was like, nice. I was like, Cara Dune got a demon, so I was like, oh, cool. Like it'll stay on her shoulder for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
That'd be cool.
I mean, it was there.
Cool. I mean, it would be
Okay.
kind of fun to see if like she had this little ferret on the shoulder and she just spoke to it, and you know, just like walking around. What do you think, fairy? And like,
Should I join the rebellion?
Yeah. Only she can hear. Only she can hear it. That'd just be great. That's
I think
canon,
we're going
by the way.
Going off on too much.
We've got about 9 more questions and like 25 minutes to do it. Molly's got another show to get ready for, so we're gonna try to lightning round some of these. Ted Comet, thanks for another super chat and question. Although I think Gideon will offer the dark saber for the child, and Bo-Katan might think about it. She still knows the saber means nothing if not one. That's a good point. From the Clone Wars, like Maul took it by combat, so that is an interesting.
Has to be one.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Oh well, you can cancel your stream tomorrow. Like that's it. It's done.
Well,
take a day off.
Just stream it. Just have pure blackness for hours. Nothing to talk about.
What do I know?
That's
Kay, thanks for your super chat. This episode felt like Firefly in a way to me, and the Mando crew could be uncovering a giant government secret like on the Reavers in Serenity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's a Firefly to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to think of like, got your muscle. You got is Din Mal in that case? I don't know.
So I'm like one of those dudes that's only seen the movie and is now, because I've been at home forever since March. Now I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch this because everybody said I would love it. I watched the first 2 episodes. It's awesome. I guess I can kind of see that though from what I've seen.
I always thought that Star Wars Rebels was basically, especially the first season, that's very Firefly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Heisty.
Bulldog 490, thanks for your super chat and question. Do you think Filoni has a jar on his desk and every time someone gets a theory right, he drops a 20 in it? Where does it go?
That makes me think of The Good Place, where they have the picture of the one guy that got the theory of heaven.
Oh God!
Right?
Yeah. What's his name?
He got
Doug.
I just started watching that show and it's hilarious.
I love that show. It's so good.
Funny.
Oh, you've only just started.
Yeah,
Great
that's
show.
what I'm saying. Like I don't watch TV that often. All of a sudden, COVID hit, and I'm like, all right, TV. No,
have fun with it, man. It's a great show. Great show.
Definitely.
Ken Schuler, thanks for your super chat. Dank Ferrick is my new favorite curse word. That is all. I also like it a lot.
Yeah. Yep. I love it.
I hear it a lot. Thank Ferrick.
What do we think it is? Like, what's its equivalency to it in our language? What do we think? Without abbreviate. I think it's FFS.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah. That's
Dank Ferrick.
nice all arounder. Yeah.
I'm just gonna start saying that in real life. Thank Ferrick. You okay?
Who was the first to say it? I think it was at Mando, and then
apparently they said it in season 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't catch it, but now they've used it a lot in this season.
Yeah,
And
it's painfully obvious now that every time they say it.
Yeah, like the volume gets real loud. Ferrick. They just want you to know.
Yeah.
They're trying to get everyone to say it. Like hashtag Dank Ferrick. Let's go.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
Cody Haberland Hagman, thanks for your super chat. A few easy things to miss. The test tube scene plays Snoke's theme, and the English audio description refers to the droids at the end as Dark Troopers. We caught them both. We did it. Yep. We are eagle-eyed and eagle-eared.
You're professionals.
Am I professional?
Yeah.
RG2088, thanks for your super chat. Do you think we could see a Force ghost in the next episode that Ahsoka communes with to get info on the child? No.
I don't see Force
Oh,
ghosts
that
in
seems like
this.
too much. If like Anakin all of a sudden showed up in The Mandalorian, I'd be like, oh no.
Yeah, I
Not
feel
the
like the
time.
show is going to reveal anything Force related in a way like we're experiencing it as Din's learning. So I feel like it's going to be like a slow burn of learning. So like now he's learned the Jedi still exist, kind of. Now he's going to go meet one that isn't really a Jedi. So that way he won't necessarily have to have like a real confrontational attitude necessarily. Does he know Ahsoka isn't a real Jedi? I don't know.
No, but I really hope that when they meet, he is like, finally I found a Jedi, and she's like, well, I'm not really a Jedi, and he's like, dang it.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks,
I keep meeting people. He's like, I keep meeting people that don't help. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I think a Force ghost would be so extreme.
It's a lot.
I agree.
It's already going to be quite jarring, I think, seeing Ahsoka in live action. And I don't think they would put a Force ghost on top of that.
Yeah, I think it's going to definitely need a bit of a light touch, because even though
very light.
I guess you got to think there are people who are watching this because Baby Yoda, and it's like they're very slowly getting into it. So yeah, I think if they like enter a room and she's talking to Liam Neeson's ghost, it's going to be a bit weird.
Remember who you are. No, but what would be great too is I kind of feel what's more gonna happen rather than like a Force ghost is that she's gonna, hopefully this doesn't happen, but I feel like she's gonna like send something bad about the child. I don't know why I have this feeling, but she's gonna have like a bad vibe.
Feeling about this?
We haven't gotten Baby Yoda using the Force for not so good yet. Like doing any Force choking, and I know, Alex, you had mentioned that you think he's going to do something bad again, but maybe
I think he'll do
something
worse,
even worse.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's done some bad things this season already, but you know, but yeah, I mean, the choking scene was brutal.
Yeah,
I loved it.
his little
His
angry
face.
face. Yeah.
So good.
Dragonist Prime, thanks for your super chat. Just says Maul is technically a Mandalorian. That is all. I don't think so. He doesn't follow that creed.
He's
He
a
doesn't care.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, he got some people to follow him. I don't think he follows the creed at all.
No, he cares not for creeds.
No,
Except for the band Creed.
Yeah.
weird.
Nick Canavan, thanks for your super chat. Hi, guys from Ireland. Just watched the episode and wow, loved it. Probably one of my favorites of the series. And we got more Scout Troopers. Special shout out to @chat.
Cool.
Thanks. Hi.
Flish, thanks for your super chat. At 1854, a crew member is visible in the corner.
I saw
Also, do you
that.
think we'll ever see Mandalorian live action? Yeah, I had. Was it Scotty J. Rowe on Twitter pointed that out to us?
And everyone was saying it was like Game of Thrones leaving the coffee cup in. Just leave it. # leave it in.
Once you see it, you can't not see it ever. It's so funny because I didn't notice it for 2 viewings, and then I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, "Yeah, now that's it." There's that. It looks like a kid. Like, "Hey, Dad, I'm on set."
Yeah.
I was like, "What the heck?"
I wonder if
Everyone
they'll
says
fix
it's,
that. Like, they can.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. It is funny that like most likely they probably saw it, but they're like, leave it in. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody will talk about it.
Yeah.
everyone's talking about it like the coffee cup, but I just thought of the Green Man in A New Hope. I'm just like, it's a body of a person. Like
Right.
in Star
It's
Wars
actually
did.
a reference to A New Hope. We did.
Deep
Subtle
cuts.
Easter egg.
Yeah.
And last question before we wrap up here. Rage Cage says the Darksaber means nothing if not one, except when Sabine gives it to Bo-Katan in season 4 of Rebels. Yep, that's true.
Damn.
That's true. I'm back in it.
Stream's back on.
There are bylaws in clauses.
we need the legal document surrounding the Darksaber.
There's a game of chess involved now. He has to play hollow chess to win it. That'd be amazing, actually.
That would be
We've
cool.
never seen a full game of hollow chess. Let's do it.
That's true.
Yeah.
And Brandon Holbrook, thank you for just one final super chat. Appreciate that. But this has been our longest stream for This Is the Show. And I know Molly has to get ready for her Schmodown stream, so we're going to go ahead and call it a night. But Nick, Sean, and Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Where can everyone follow you on YouTube, Twitter, and so on?
For me, at chat, or what is it? youtube.com/@chat. And then Twitter, at chat as well. And if you want to do Instagram, which I'm terrible at, that is Admiral Piet Lives, because he does in my heart.
Sean,
yeah. No, that way, yeah. Come find us on YouTube, Blue Bantha Milk Co. We're also on Facebook, just Blue Bantha Milk Co. Twitter, Blue Bantha Milk, which Matt runs. So he runs the Twitter and I run the Facebook. It's a mix of complaining about having celebration tickets getting cancelled and making antagonistic memes.
I think I got my ticket back, by the way. Maybe.
Oh, then it's only antagonistic memes.
Yeah. No, I'll still be antagonistic about the tickets, but that's another story for another time.
That's it. So yes, check us out. Like, subscribe, comment.
Great. And there are links to all of those places down in the description already. Until next week, thanks so much for watching along, and may the Force be with you.